This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Fifth straight win for our Milwaukee Brewers, have now won 6 of their last 7. A simply dominant performance from the Brew Crew this evening at American Family Field. An 8-3 win over the Washington Nationals in Game 1 of their 3-game series. Now 14 games over 500. A great win for your Brewers. We'll get into all of it this evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. My name is Brandon Snyder. You can follow me over on social media on X at Brandon_Snyder, and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where I cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. Thanks for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, wherever you get podcasts, you can get the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST and the Locked On Brewers Daily Podcast with my guy, Chuck Freeman. We got him on Apple, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those terrific podcast apps, as well as over on YouTube. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, and type in Locked On Brewers. Go to the notification bell, get notified, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up video or button, get notified when we go live. And we go live after each Brewers game, and it feels certainly better to go live after an 8-3 Milwaukee Brewers win over the Washington Nationals. We'll get to the scoring summary. DL Hall and Quinn Priester looked fantastic tonight. A huge third inning. We'll get into that. In the NL Central, don't look now if you're a Cubs fan, but in your rearview mirror, things may appear closer than they actually are, as the Brewers now inch closer to the top of the leaderboard in the NL Central. We'll talk a little bit about that. And your thoughts, your comments, your reactions, your celebrations are always welcomed on the program. Just drop a comment in the YouTube chat. Keep it PG. We'll get to those comments as the show rolls on. Let's get into your scoring summary tonight in an 8-3 Milwaukee Brewers win. And thanks to Supply House and Gametime for being sponsors of the scoring summary. We begin in the third inning. DL Hall getting the start for the Milwaukee Brewers. He would go the first 3 innings in this one, and his only run surrendered was a CJ Abrams triple there to center field. That would score Riley Adams. That would make it 1-0 Washington. The offense for the Brewers not doing a whole lot in those first 2 innings, but without further ado, in an 8-3 Milwaukee Brewers win, you don't have to sit around and wait long for the turning point in this one.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Interesting, amazing, fantastic, almost perfect third inning, bottom of the third inning there for our Milwaukee Brewers. You begin with the Caleb Durbin double. It was a catchable ball. I'm not exactly sure what Lyle out in right field, maybe just not used to the outfield, being a visitor, maybe thought he was closer to the wall than he, initially was. He allowed that ball to fall. That would get Caleb Durbin on second. Joey Ortiz would have a single that would move Caleb Durbin over there to, or actually Caleb Durbin would score after that Joey Ortiz bloop single. And then it would be a Sal Frelick RBI single, William Contreras with an RBI double. By the way, William Contreras today, I hope this is a sign of good things to come for William Contreras, because it felt like for the first time and off of recent memory, it felt like he finally was kind of like the old William Contreras. And I know for the injury that he has sustained on that finger, the All-Star break is coming at a really, really good time for William Contreras, but he was 2 for 4 tonight. 2 of those hits, one of them there in the third inning. Then Jackson Chourio with a 2-run RBI single. And then Christian Yelich, without even thinking, as soon as the ball left the bat, everybody in the stadium knew that was gone. That was a home run to right field, 405 feet to be exact. 9 total pitches, and within those 9 total pitches, the Milwaukee Brewers scored 6 runs. Not only did that set up DL Hall after he would exit, but that would also set up Quinn Priester, who would come into the game after that third inning for your Milwaukee Brewers. Later on in the game, as we mentioned, William Contreras in that third inning, he didn't wait a long time to have another RBI, a double to center field in the 4th inning. That would score Sal Frelick, who Sal has just been fantastic. Feels like Sal's on base every at-bat. He was on base the first 3 at-bats this evening with a couple of hits and a walk. Later, though, in the game, in the 6th inning, House would double the center. That would score Bell. Let's see. Riley Adams would also homer to left center in the 7th inning. And then for the Milwaukee Brewers, that would make it 7-3 at the time. How good is Matt Arnold at his job? I mean, how good has Matt Arnold been over the course of the last, let's, I guess, pin it down to the last 2 years for your Milwaukee Brewers? You know, when people kind of write players off and people aren't really sure, you know, out there on the market, and Jose Quintana goes all the way up until spring training to be signed and becomes a huge piece to your starting rotation. And then you got a disgruntled Aaron Savali for your Milwaukee Brewers. And Matt Arnold knew Brandon Woodruff's coming back. Nestor Cortez is probably coming back. This team is looking good. Jacob Mizorowski's been fantastic. Oh, yeah, Logan Henderson also has been really good. Freddie Peralta's an all-star. He's got 10 wins already. There's probably no room here for Aaron Savali. Aaron Savali wants out. Okay, we'll take a shot on Andrew Vaughn. The Brewers are 4-0 since they've called up Andrew Vaughn, by the way, including a 3-game sweep of the Dodgers. But he has an RBI in every game he's played for your Milwaukee Brewers. Andrew Vaughn with a 413-foot shot to the Miller Lite deck at American Family Field. That would give the Brewers the 8-3 advantage, and that would be all they would need. And it was just an absolutely fantastic performance from your Milwaukee Brewers. Offensively, defensively, saw some flashes of the leather defensively on both sides, really. But key pieces in this game were obviously scoring the 6 runs in the 3rd inning. That set the tempo for the Brewers. And again, we had kind of talked about it. I know they only scored 1 run, the Nationals, that was in the top of the 3rd. But that is the resiliency of this Milwaukee Brewers team, is seeing the Nationals with a nice hit by Abrams, a triple that would score Riley Adams, having them go up early in this game. But right when the Milwaukee Brewers, you were like, could have avoided that inning, could have avoided that. Riley Adams, 135 on the season, kind of gave up. I believe he had 2 strikes at that at bat where he hit that. I believe he had a double down the line and then eventually would get brought in by C.J. Abrams. But right when you thought like, oh, man, just wanted to escape that inning for DL Hall without any damage, you go and you turn around and you score 6 runs. And that's the Milwaukee Brewers have just been fantastic really since the middle of May and have become one of the best teams really record-wise as well throughout Major League Baseball. But it's really being able to bounce back from adversity, Pat, and they take on that mantra of their manager, Pat Murphy. He also had talked about it in the pregame before this game, and I thought it was very, very interesting. We had talked about before the series against the Dodgers, Pat Murphy had talked about he has instilled going back to training, spring training drills for his infielders and his pitchers and his outfielders and basic fundamentals, because he said, and I'm paraphrasing manager Pat Murphy here, when you get closer to the All-Star break, it's easy for teams to kind of lose focus. That's almost verbatim what he said. They have not lost focus. And he talked about it before this game. You beat the Dodgers, you sweep the Dodgers for the first time in Milwaukee in the history of baseball. The first time since 2014. They did it in LA the last time. But then you're kind of like, he used the term, you're full, you don't want to eat anymore. This was a really big test, and it's not going to look like a test because the Washington Nationals aren't a very good baseball team. And, they have to rebuild, offer the rebuild once again. But to sweep the Dodgers at American Family Field, have that off day on Thursday, and kind of be at the top, right, of the roller coaster, if you will say, and that extra inning win on Wednesday and the walk-off hit by Jackson Chourio, and then kind of look ahead to your schedule because these guys are also human. And that's just a human element to look at a team that's 38-56 and go, okay, well, let's just kind of roll out the helmets and see what we got. They did not do that. And that's a testament to manager Pat Murphy, but it's also, it shows you the pulse that he has on that clubhouse, because it's easy for teams. And we see it a lot of times, the Cubs lose tonight 11-0 to the Yankees. Teams that, and it's not taking anything away from the Cubs or the Yankees. Those are both good teams, but teams do lose focus. How many times throughout the course of Craig Counsell's tenure here in Milwaukee, and this isn't to pick on Craig Counsell, but have we been swept? You look at, I think it was a year or two ago, where the Brewers were swept a 4-game series in Pittsburgh. The lowly Pirates at the time, and the Brewers were atop, in the race for the NL Central, and you have a 4-game sweep prior to the All-Star break. This team is not losing focus. So it was really cool to see them kind of come out tonight and see a run cross the plate for the Nationals, but for the Brewers to quickly bounce back and score 6 runs in the bottom of that 3rd inning. And then I don't know about you guys, the way that this Brewers team has been pitching, the way that this team has been winning, the vibe, the energy, I had no doubt about it. I was getting ready for the show in the third inning, like, okay, got to kind of pin down on some of the scoring and see where this game goes. Let's see how long DL Hall goes. Let's see how long Quinn Priester goes. And the Brewers do win 8-3, a fantastic win, as we had mentioned at the beginning of the show. Now 5 straight wins for your Milwaukee Brewers. I should say our Milwaukee Brewers. I had a listener say I can say our Milwaukee Brewers on the postcast, so I appreciate that. They asked me to graduate the term your to our. You're absolutely right. Our Milwaukee Brewers, 5 straight in 6 of their last 7. We mentioned Andrew Vaughn. We mentioned William Contreras. We mentioned Christian Yelich, but none of those guys are going to be our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I could go with manager Pat Murphy here, and I want to for a few different reasons. It's going to be like 3 people, and I know you guys are going to kind of call it a little bit of a cop-out, but that's okay. Manager Pat Murphy gets one of the honors tonight. We're going to give 3 trophies tonight because of his decision to continue on. I know Quinn Priester has had a starter before. He has not had a starter before. He obviously got one today in DL Hall, as we have mentioned, where DL Hall started the first 3 innings of this one. He gave up 1 earned run, and then Quinn Priester finishing the last 6 innings of this game, guys, and giving up just 4 hits and 2 earned runs. What that's going to do for guys like Abner Uribe, who have had, high volume of use, Jared Koenig, Nick Mears, and Trevor McGill, who was used in back-to-back games against the Dodgers, Abner Uribe as well. That is such a huge lift for this team. You include that off day Thursday, and now you look ahead to game 2 and game 3 against these Washington Nationals, and now you're in a really, really good spot health-wise between, going out and throwing out some of the arms that, have been able to get some rest, as those guys I have mentioned before. So Pat Murphy for allowing Quinn to go the distance. I know Abner was warming up in the bullpen, but decided to stick it out with Abner with Quinn throughout the last 6 innings. DL Hall, who's been nothing but fantastic since he's been back up with the Brewers after that rehab, and those 2 as well, DL Hall and Quinn Priester, also getting the nods for the player of the game, because I thought the decision to go with DL Hall and the decision to keep Quinn, and then the way that those 2 pitched were fantastic. So they get our honors for your Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. Your thoughts, your reactions, your celebrations, all coming up, as well as a look at the National League Central for your Milwaukee Brewers. All coming up after this. Today's show is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from the top 400 brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and all those electrical supplies you need with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off of your full order. That's supplyhouse.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is here for all of you sports fans, concert goers, anything you want to go to. If you're deciding last minute to head to a ball game with a friends or family, it's game day and you want to be in the stands, that's exactly where they come in. It is the easiest way to grab those last-minute ticket deals without any of the stress. Plus, with the money you save on tickets, you can now splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you, and Gametime makes it all possible. It is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming Major League Baseball game, and the Brewers got 2 more left before the All-Star break. You got to get on them right now. 10% off exclusive zone deals. You got to get on Gametime app. Take the guesswork out of buying with Gametime. Download the app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. If you go on the Gametime app right now, if you use that promo code, you can go to a game for the Brewers, the last 2 games here at American Family Field, for essentially free. Get on the app, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. An 8-3 Milwaukee Brewers win. Now they're 5th in a row, 54-40 on the season. William Contreras with a couple of hits. Christian Yelich with a 2-run home run. Andrew Vaughn with a home run. Things looking up for your Milwaukee Brewers, winners of 6 of their last 7. Lots to look forward to with this Brewers team. 2 more games before the All-Star break. Let's get into your thoughts, your comments, your reactions. We begin with Everydayer. Cody, how about this Milwaukee Brewers pitching since Sunday? Nice to see Contreras get some hits. How about the defense tonight? I can't be the only one who doesn't want the All-Star break. Yeah, I thought about that today, actually. It's funny you bring that up, and you're absolutely right. We mentioned William Contreras, 2 for 4 tonight. The defense for the Brewers all over the place. It almost is like, man, I don't know. Yeah, usually the All-Star break comes at a good time, and it certainly does. Like, these guys need the time that they're going to get. We mentioned William Contreras getting the hits, with that finger. It's also going to be important for them to get some rest, but it's hard not to look at that and be like, man, you are on your way to possibly 7 in a row before the All-Star break. You don't want to kill any momentum, but unfortunately it has to happen. Kevin over on YouTube, let this team roll. Pure dominance tonight. Great to see Priester continuing to pitch well. D.L. Hall doing his thing. The offense comes alive. Good win all around. Absolutely. And that's Priester and Hall got the player of the game as well as Pat Murphy, just because I thought, they were able to not only pitch and pitch well and give the Brewers the opportunity to win this game, but to be able to only go 2 pitchers tonight is huge, going forward. Remember, there's still a long season left. You still got half of July. You got all of August, all of September. There's a lot of baseball yet to be played. And if you're a Brewers fan like myself and like all of you, you want to play in deep into October, you're going to need to save those arms. So it was huge for those guys to go the distance tonight for the Brewers. DB over on YouTube, 1 game back on the Cubs. Yes, the Chicago Cubs losing tonight. Ugly fashion for the Cubs. Cody Bellinger had 3 home runs against his old team in the Yankees uniform. The Cubs losing 11-0. There is a chance, maybe a good chance, if you want to look at it, that the Brewers could be heading into the All-Star break, as a few of us have talked about. We don't really want the All-Star break to come on right this moment as we're riding this hot 5-game win streak. But there's a chance, guys, that the Milwaukee Brewers will be atop of the NL Central before the All-Star break festivities begin on Monday. So Cubs with the Yankees. The Brewers at home against the Nationals with 2 games left to go. Jason over on YouTube. Good start to the series. And yet again, Christian Yelich keeps hitting home runs. Love to see it. It's important to sweep the series now and get ahead of the scrubs. Yes, I love that part. Love calling them the scrubs. That's perfect. Christian Yelich has been fantastic. 19 home runs now on the season for Yelich. I put it on my X account at Brandon_Snide. I started off with Sal Frelick because I believe he began the game with a single. And I said that Sal Frelick deserved to be an all-star this year. I'm sorry. He just does. He's nearing 300. It's kind of hit throughout, all over the lineup, but now has found his home and the leadoff spot. And how good has Christian Yelich been? I mean, Christian Yelich has been fantastic. So you're absolutely right, Jason. An all-around great win. But for those 2 guys, it's been fantastic. And for a good chunk of it have really, kind of carried the Brewers offense in big spurts of this season. As Landon says, is Yelich back? He's been back, in my opinion. I think Christian Yelich has been back really obviously you don't want to, it's still a half a season left to go for him, but he's been healthy, right? He's been there, that's been the biggest thing with Christian Yelich. The swing has always been there. But for the most part, now he's getting lift on a lot of these pitches, 19 home runs, 65 RBIs for Christian Yelich. So absolutely, I think Christian Yelich is back. I don't think there's any denying that. Cap, part of our everydayers over on YouTube. But the way Vaughn is playing, I can't help but think if Bowers would be on the trade block. I know he can be an outfielder, but Perkins is even closer to coming back, and Bowers has been slipping. I talked about Bowers and Vaughn on Wednesday because Bowers got the start. I forgot who was making the glass now for the Dodgers, right-hander. And I know they were going righty versus lefty. And I said I would have rolled with Vaughn, and Vaughn would eventually make his way in that 9th inning and tie the game up. You cannot remove Vaughn off of this lineup right now. You cannot, not right now. An RBI in every appearance that he's had for, these 4 games for the Milwaukee Brewers. They've won all 4 since he's been up in the big leagues. He set the tone beginning on Monday in game 1 against the Dodgers off of Yamamoto with that 3-run shot to left field and really set the tone for that whole series. I would leave Andrew Vaughn exactly where he's at. The talent is there with Andrew Vaughn, the former 3rd-round pick back in 2019. Change of scenery, a change within organizations. I can't imagine, playing for the White Sox in the last few years and what that, toll was on his mental, and physical, health. But, to come to Milwaukee where you now, listen, the Brewers are an organization where actually Andrew Vaughn had talked about it before the game where he's going to head down to, I believe, Mississippi where he has family, but he wanted to come back to Milwaukee to spend some time because he was talking about how much he loved the city. I don't want to say it's become a destination because it's hard to compete with LA and New York and, Chicago and whatnot, but good things tend to happen to players when they come to Milwaukee, guys. I mean, we saw another one tonight. Not only was Andrew Vaughn part of that, but Quinn Priester, who also was a part of that, when not so good things in Pittsburgh and then not so great things in Boston, then he comes to Milwaukee and kind of starts turning things around. So it's been really good for a lot of these players that need I don't want to say second chance, just another opportunity, right? Another opportunity. Andrew over on YouTube, Hoskins can stay where he is for as long as it takes. We're good with Wild Thing Vaughn. He's been fun, man. He's been fun. It's been awesome. I'm happy for him because when you get drafted 3rd overall, the expectations are going to be there. And a lot of you have a lot of expectations, it seems, every day. Or Nick on YouTube, look out now. Is Vaughn that bat we needed? I mentioned that before. I don't know if it's going to be the bat we needed. It may be the bat we get. We'll see what the trade deadline obviously creates for Matt Arnold, who was on the television broadcast tonight and saying this time of year with the trade deadline and the draft and the All-Star break is kind of his favorite time of the year. I anticipate the Brewers will be active. I don't know if it's going to be the bat everybody wants. Suarez has been a name that's been thrown at me, I think, every show that we've done in the last 2 months. But I do think that Andrew Vaughn has been a big part for this Brewers team in just the 4 games. In just the 4 games that he's been up here. We mentioned how he set the tone on Monday. He's a key RBI in game 3 to tie the game up in the bottom of the 9th with 1 out. And he's been huge. And then tonight again, with the solo home run. Charles over on YouTube, do you think Arnold enters the ballpark singing, "Hey, what a wonderful kind of day"? Yeah. I think if you're Matt Arnold right now, think you're smiling pretty big, right? You see Woodruff coming back. He'll get the start tomorrow. You see Freddie Peralta, 10 wins and a team-friendly deal that he signed not too long ago. Quinn Priester, a guy you traded for, you saw tonight, has kind of turned his career around here in Milwaukee. You guys have a plethora of you have mentioned Andrew Vaughn. I mean, how do you not, if you come into work and you're not Matt Arnold, are you not smiling or a little skip, to your walk and a little grin because he has pulled all the right triggers for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And that's why they're in position where they haven't really, all the stars haven't totally aligned yet for this Brewers team. They're slowly getting there. And Pat Murphy has talked about it, but they not have all aligned at the same time. You're 14 games over 500. You battled tons of injuries in the beginning of the season. You battled a weird, quirky schedule where at one point you were out in San Francisco for a 3-game series and that was it. And then you returned right back to the Midwest to take on the Cardinals. It was a weird part of their schedule. And you're right there at the top of the National League Central, and you're playing the best baseball in the last month or so for your Milwaukee Brewers. It's been amazing. Thomas over on YouTube, Contreras heating up at the dish is a good sign. It is a fantastic sign. And again, it's a good moment. I know we talked about, I don't know if I want this All-Star game to start, but to get Williams some rest, I think he's going to need it. If he comes back and he continues, let's hope tomorrow afternoon, let's hope Sunday afternoon, and he's swinging a hot bat and he gets some rest and he starts taking off offensively where Jackson Chourio has been getting better. We had mentioned Christian Yelich. We have talked about at length Andrew Vaughn. We talked about Sal Frelick at the top of the order. This becomes an extremely, extremely dangerous lineup. Caleb Durbin tonight, too, at the bottom of the lineup for your Brewers. 2 for 3 for Caleb Durbin. A tick above 260 batting for Caleb Durbin. At one point, that was down in the 190s, I believe, high 190s. So Caleb Durbin is starting to turn things around for your Milwaukee Brewers. History over on YouTube. A fun comment here. Let's see some Brew Crew memorabilia behind you instead of all of the Packer stuff. I get that a lot. And honest to God, guys, I have Brewer stuff everywhere. It's a weird spot that we're in. it just happens that everything minus this Christian Yelich picture here always shows Packers. I promise there's Brewer stuff all around. I have a whole studio set up here with a tons of Brewer stuff. So I appreciate it. I'll do some rearranging maybe during the All-Star break for you guys that have talked about my collection back here. Ben over on YouTube, part of our everydayers, hate the break, then going to the Dodgers, want them hot on the West Coast. I'm okay with I understand where people are kind of, hesitant towards, getting into the All-Star break where the Brewers are hot, but I do think that it comes at a good time, just health-wise, right? Just getting guys healthy. We talked about the bullpen has been used a lot. Nick Mears, Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill. We have talked about those guys. But it is going to be important, to get some rest. And then William Contreras, obviously, with the finger. We do have some breaking news, guys, before we wrap up the show. And Jay Andrews is helping us break the news. I just verified it over there on X. Jacob Mizorowski, I just want to make sure it's verified. Jacob Mizorowski heading to the All-Star game, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob Mizorowski joins Freddie Peralta and joins Trevor McGill as the other Brewers heading to the All-Star break. That is just absolutely incredible. We got a couple of you history also mentioning All-Star. Miz, Kevin, love to see that for sure. It tells you, it speaks volumes on this Brewers team. And we had talked about it. We'll wrap this up here shortly. We had talked about the playing to the strengths of this team, right? When you put up 6 runs like the Brewers did in the third inning, they're going to win probably at 95% or higher of those games because of, look at who's going to the All-Star break. They're pitching. Freddie Peralta, Jacob Mizorowski, Trevor McGill. I think Abner Uribe belongs there, right? In the first 2 months, Nick Mears was fantastic. Jared Kaning's been great. This Brewers team's strength is their pitching. It's their strength. It is the strength of this team, and that has been by design, right? They have done that intentionally, and we've talked about it. They're getting stronger at their strength. We talked about Brandon Woodruff. We talked about Nestor Cortez probably coming back from, injury after the All-Star break. Catch over on YouTube saying 0 All-Stars to 3 All-Stars in a week, right where they should be. I'll still make the argument. I know people will say I'm wrong. I still think Christian Yelich should be an All-Star. I think that Sal Frelick has made a really strong case to be an All-Star game. I know those guys are playing at a strength, throughout the National League, but I do think those two are deserving as well. But it is really cool to see guys like Jacob Mizorowski, the fastest to go to an All-Star game ever, as Thomas points out on the YouTube chat, more than twice as fast as Skeens. It speaks volumes on this team and the way they're constructed and why I am gaining each game, each experience, gaining the confidence that this Brewers team has what it takes. And maybe they're a bat away. And as you guys have pointed out, maybe that bat is Andrew Vaughn. We'll see. But that'll do it for tonight's show. An 8-3 Milwaukee Brewers win over the Washington Nationals, 14 games over 500. Just a couple of show notes. A couple of family events will keep me away from doing the postcast the next 2 nights, so we will pick things up after the All-Star break, unfortunately. But the Brewers rolling and rolling and rolling. 5 wins in a row, 6 of their last 7, 8-3 tonight over the Washington Nationals. Jacob Mizorowski joining Freddie Peralta and Trevor McGill for the All-Star game. Absolutely wonderful vibes in Milwaukee right now. Wonderful vibes from all of you. Thank you, as always, for tuning in, and thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, wherever you guys get podcasts, you can get this postcast show. Apple, Google, Spotify, all those terrific podcast apps, as well as go over on YouTube, type in on that search bar, Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, get notified when we go live, hit that thumbs up on the video, drop a comment, drop a thought. We get to all of them throughout the course of the season. We'll pick things back up here in about a week or so as your Brewers will be on the road following the All-Star break. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X at Brandon_Snide. And remember, win, lose, or draw, but it certainly feels better when you win 5 in a row as the Brewers win tonight for their 5th in a row, 8-3. But nonetheless, it is always go Brewers. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.